Hi, this is your girl Annette. We are at it again, sharing a variety of Peace Corps volunteers who have served as volunteers. And before we introduce our current volunteer or return Peace Corps volunteer, I'm going to share a little bit about Peace Corps, its mission, and its vision. So the Peace Corps is a service opportunity for motivated change makers to immerse themselves in a community abroad, working side by side with local host country nationals to tackle the most pressing challenges of our generation. The Peace Corps mission is to promote world peace and friendship by fulfilling three goals. One, to help the people of interested countries in meeting their need for trained men and women. Two, to help promote a better understanding of Americans on the part of the people served. And three, which is what we're here doing today, to help promote a better understanding of other people on the part of the Americans. And today we have Angelica. Did I say that correctly?
Yes, you did.
All right, well, welcome. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for taking the time to share about your service. Where exactly did you serve?
Okay, so I served in Colombia, so it's in South America next to Venezuela. And I was in the PES volunteer. It was formerly known as TEFL, which is teaching English as a foreign language volunteer. But then it became PES, which is Practical English for Success volunteer. So I pretty much enjoyed doing that. Happy to go on and talk about kind of what led me into the Peace Corps. That's where we can start. All right, so pretty much I was in high school. I think it was my 11th grade year, and I had a teacher. I actually had two teachers. One was my AP US History, and then the other one was AP English. And both of them had served. One served in Nepal, the other one served in Kazakhstan, I believed. And so just hearing them talk about going and living in another country, experiencing a different culture, it really made me think about, oh, that seems cool. It seems like something I would be interested in, especially as someone who was a Girl Scout. Even at that time, I was still a Girl Scout. Like it had always been instilled in me to appreciate, not only other people, but also their cultures. And so I was very interested in doing that type of work. And although I didn't have the exact time frame in which I wanted to actually go into the Peace Corps, I did know that it was something that I wanted to do. So I kind of kept it in the back of my mind, went on to UNC Chapel Hill, and then, applied my senior year. Actually, the first time I didn't get into the Peace Corps, I think I applied to Guatemala, and they had like maybe 3,000 applicants. It was a large number. And so I didn't get in, but I reapplied, and I still had that I wanted to go somewhere that spoke Spanish. And luckily, I think I chose Colombia, DR, and I can't remember the third country, but I ended up getting Colombia. So
Nice.
that was great. Um, let's see, where else can I go with this? So basically
So
got in.
when were you actually in Colombia?
So that would have been January 2016 was when I left, and I swore in April 2016, and then I finished March 2018.
Well, you good with those dates? Because I'd be like, I was 2001 to 2003. You asked me a month. I'm like, let me check my paperwork to see what it says. Okay, so you were, and I love that you were a Girl Scout. Like that in itself, that idea of service as a Girl Scout is huge. I think once you serve as a Girl Scout, that idea of service or giving back is authentically like a real thing. So did
I
you learn
definitely
the
agree.
language as well?
Yes, so interestingly, I've always like gravitated towards Spanish. So we had Spanish in elementary, maybe when I was in the third grade was when we had a Spanish teacher. And so I've always liked it as an elective, took Spanish in college, but come to find out when I took the placement test, I was at like the very bottom. So don't know what happened. But basically, once I swore in, I was whatever the level was. I think we had to be intermediate mid. And so I was able to make that by the time I swore in.
Nice.
I was always practicing with my neighbors, practicing with the other volunteers. And so, and it was difficult because a lot of them were, for whatever reason, our group, we had a lot of people who either were past Spanish teachers or had lived abroad in a Spanish country. And so now they're just doing Peace Corps. So they're like superior. and
Oh,
and that's literally the language level that they were. They like all tested in superior. And then here you go, little old me and novice. It was like maybe 8 of us that were in novice though. So it wasn't too bad out of maybe 20, was it 29 of us maybe, or 30? It was in 29 or 30 something. But it was all good. So it was Spanish. And a lot of people say that Colombian Spanish is difficult, which it is. It's like they cut everything. It's like pa que, a dónde va, and it's like dónde va, a dónde, but it's like a dónde va, pa que. They cut all the words, you know, and it depends on what part of the country you're in. But on the coast, they cut a lot of the words, and so you know, at some point you get used to it. But definitely when I was learning it, it was just like, oh my gosh, how am I going? This is slang Spanish. But it was good though. It was good. I liked it because now I still will talk, you know, I still speak it.
That's cool. Did you stay with a host family or did you have your own compound or host home where you were?
In Colunbia, so we actually had to stay with the host family throughout our entire stay. So even so in training, stayed with the host family, and also during my 2 years, I had to stay there. Well, in another host family because our training towns were different from our actual, I guess, our pueblos. Yes, our assigned sites.
Okay.
And so it was nice. Like I had my first family, it was a mom, her daughter, son. The father had just passed away. I forgot what type of accident, if it was like a tractor accident or something. And so that was kind of, you know, difficult for them. We still keep in contact. Like he just graduated, I want to say from maybe middle school, like liking his photos on Instagram. So it was nice.
That's cool. Did you eat? Was it the culture to eat with the family, or did you learn some like exotic dishes, some different recipes? Yes, that you still use today.
Well, actually, like for Colunbia, I ended up gaining a lot of weight because it's a lot of rice, a bunch of starch. So they were feeding me starch 3 times a day. And so within 2 months, I had gained like 30 pounds. But they were just like, estás gordita, pero ve bien. And I'm like, I do not look good. Please don't tell me that. But it was nice. Like I was able to lose weight once I got to site, and they were kind of looking at me strange because I wasn't eating the rice. But I had to tell them, like, you know, this is not how I look. This is how I looked in America. Like, it's not like, and I don't feel healthy. I don't feel myself. And so I have to take a step back from eating all the rice. And so they understood that. And, you know, once they saw how much weight I lost, then they were asking me like, oh, so what did you do again? Like, what did you do? The baked chicken? So I don't put anything else with the baked chicken. I just season it. Like, yep, that's all you do. You season it, no rice. You're like, no arroz.
See, yeah, you cussing at people talking about no rice in Colunbia. Yeah. So what program were you a part of? Were you a teacher, a health volunteer?
So I was a teacher. So Practical English for Success, that was just teaching. So what that looked like was I was co-teaching with other teachers in the school. And so some people may think that you just go in and you start teaching. No, that's not the case. What you do is you're planning lessons with I keep saying professors because I'm in law school, but the teachers who are there, you're basically there to assist them. You don't go in and say, well, this is what you need to do. It's more of, you know, here are some resources. Let me know if you would like to use any of these. And most of the time, you know, Peace Corps has done its research and they've sought out teachers who are interested in actually receiving insight from PES volunteers. And so it's usually not anything where you're feeling like none of your perspectives are being heard. It's very much like a give and take kind of thing where you're providing the resources, they're using it. A lot of what I focused on was classroom management because naturally, like my personality is one of those where I mean, I really try not to be a disciplinarian, but it just kind of comes out. So, so with Peace Corps, it was like, okay, let's just kind of get, and asking them, so what do you think could be changed? And then they're saying, well, the kids can be a bit rowdy. And so you're like, okay, they're picking up what I picked up on. So then you can say, okay, well, let's try to figure out how to, get the kids to be a lot more calmer, and then also kind of channel their energy into the schoolwork in a productive way. And so what we found out was that, well, what I found out, because they know themselves, Colombians are very competitive. And so you can really use that in the classroom. So a lot of what I did was, when we did games, like when we're trying to see, okay, let's play a vocabulary game, or let's play a game where students have to come up with the English sentence, or they have to figure out what verb goes in that missing blank of the sentence. And so when you have them set up on teams and only one person has to, go up, they're like running to the board, everyone's quiet and focused. So that's something that I really tried to make sure that I got across to them, is that, you have to really think about what the strengths are of your students and then hone in on that. And I think the reason why Peace Corps is such a good resource is that, even as we see in our own American systems, like the teachers are overworked. So, I mean, honestly, even if we were to take, Colombian teachers who came here and just were a helping hand, if you will, that would help even our teachers. So it's not even about American school systems being better than Colombian school systems. It's really about just providing that helping hand. And so I think that's kind of what I began to learn when I was in Peace Corps, because again, a lot of people talk about coming in with that whole savior complex, which is a lot of something that they're trying to really address in Peace Corps. And you have to look at it in terms of a growth mindset and knowing that you don't have all the answers. Neither do they, but it's what you can do together that helps the student. And so I think when we look at it from that perspective, everyone wins.
You're right. That collaboration is imperative. They signed up, like everyone who requests Peace Corps volunteers, they don't get them. So the work that they took to get you there in the first place, and the rationale or the reasoning for having or requesting a volunteer, is for a reason. And sometimes that collaboration is important to be able to say, okay, we know that these are some concerns that we have. This is how we've been addressing them, and say, oh, that works. I can add this to it. So I can, there's that added value of us partnering our views and our opinions and our experiences to come up with what's going to work best for the school or that teacher, because some of those things may not even work for that other classroom because of the students or their learning style or the teaching styles. So that's collaboration in any initiative when working as a Peace Corps volunteer is imperative. Because if you go in, like you said, like, I got this, let me do this, the likelihood that it's going to be sustainable is going to be very small, because you don't have that support system to say, we agree, we want this to happen, this works, and we want to keep this going. So you want to have that counterpart when you're serving.
I definitely agree.
So did you keep in touch with the teachers from Nepal and Kyrgyzstan? Did you keep in touch?
Yes.
Kazakhstan, did you keep in touch with them?
Yes, I actually just emailed my English teacher maybe 2 weeks ago, and it was after I got a grade back from a memo I had written, and I told her I received an A- on it, which is a big deal because law school writing is completely different. And I was talking to her about it, and she was like, oh, I'm not surprised one bit. I'm so proud of you. And we started talking about the Peace Corps again. But before that, I was definitely talking to them during my service, and I actually received a care package from both of them. So,
oh, that is awesome. So
we're in touch with people.
it is great to have that kind of springboard to get information from volunteers like yourself and other volunteers to kind of gauge where you want to be, where you may want to be, what your interests are, and how to best prepare for where you may be serving. In terms of your service, is there anything that you would change or improve or enhance about your time?
Sure. So we came in, like I said, January. And so that's around Carnival time. And so there's not really much school. Everybody's, having their festivos and all of that, which is fine. But when we're talking about coming into school and there's no school to really go to, you're just twiddling your thumbs. But that's good for cultural integration. So you can really spend time with your families, your host
Right.
families, your counterparts. So, I mean, it's kind of one of those, you could change it and maybe have us come in, and I think they have changed it to where PES comes in later in the year, maybe
Okay.
like April, May. And so they might have changed. I think they did because I was like C28 and now they're on like 14 now. So I don't know. But yes, I think that would be something to consider. But again, if they're pushing the fact that you need to really, integrate culturally, then I don't think it's a problem. It just gives you time to integrate with your host family. So they could keep it that way, but that would be the
Okay.
only thing I would change.
All right. There were some volunteers who were in the midst of their projects or initiatives, and they're like, "It should be extended. We should be allowed to extend." And I'm like, "But that time period is kind of perfect because you do get the time to do that first year of integration and networking and connecting and building relationships to start that project. And if you authentically have that counterpart, they're the ones kind of finalizing it. So you get to kind of let go and see if the work and the time you put into whatever it was is going to work because they have an opportunity to take it to the end to say we did this versus that
Mm-hmm.
volunteer did this and I don't know anything about it. So I don't know, I got mixed feelings and I would have totally loved to extend that my time only because I enjoyed being in Namibia and in my community. But
Mm-hmm.
in terms of watching some of the things kind of go and either continue or to finish on their own and to be like, but don't forget, oh, did you know? Oh, you did it! Like, it's kind of cool. So, if there were other volunteers who were interested or other people who were interested or considering serving, are there any suggestions that you would have for them?
Yes, I would definitely say don't let your parents, relatives, partners tell you things like, oh, well, if you go, I won't see you, or something bad may happen. Anything can happen. Like I'm in Durham, things can happen anytime. So I would just say don't let your family deter you. And the good thing is that when you do go to your post, your family can come visit you. I mean, I don't know everyone's, financial situation, but for those who can, it's good when your family can come and visit you because that puts their fears at ease. Like I know when my mom came to visit me, although she waited until right before I left, she came and visited me and was like, huh, I spent so much time worrying about you when I shouldn't have because you're in perfect, you're in perfect hands here. So I think, if your parents are able to come visit you, that's great. Yeah, just don't let anyone deter you from what you want to do. I mean, I'm an only child, so I don't really have that whole sibling thing to have to worry about. But, it's like I do, not that I do what I want to do, but I just don't have that kind of where I feel like I need to be somewhere. That's kind of the joy about being an only child. So I would say just do what you want to do if you can do it. If you're a spiritual person, pray to whomever you want to pray to or just the universe, whatever you want. If you need the universe to send you a sign, ask the universe to send you a sign and let that be your guiding point.
Oh, that is awesome. Well, Angelica, thank you so much for sharing your Peace Corps service in Colombia. I appreciate it. And for those who are considering serving, Peace Corps volunteers are change makers. They're ready to partner with communities to make a difference. Every Peace Corps volunteer's experience is uniquely different. So if you're interested, you're welcome to connect to some volunteers. You can look for a recruiter. Please go to the website and check out peacecorps.gov. If you have questions, they have a Q&A, most frequently asked questions. I'm sure Angelica or myself would be more than happy to share our experiences, but just know our experiences will not be yours. Each experience is unique. Angelica, thank you so much for sharing your experience.
Thank you for having me.
See ya.